Today we're taking a look at one of the most expensive Chinese-made watches that I have ever featured here on my channel. This is also one of the best Chinese watches that I've ever featured here on my channel. It is a Central Tourbillon and it's from the brand Peacock. Now Peacock, probably not the best name. They could have come up with something better. Next time consult me, I'll help you out. But this watch is of very high quality. It's a Central Tourbillon with a beautiful piece of sapphire crystal. Everything here has been thought through and the design is excellent. This watch looks like a watch that could cost $100,000 if it came from a Swiss brand, but it doesn't, and it comes from China, so it's actually somewhat affordable. So let's flip the camera and take a look at a Central Tourbillon from Peacock. This is called the Black Hole Central Tourbillon. This is from a brand called Peacock, and you can see right away from the look of this watch, it's something very different. There are a few brands out there that make Central Tourbillons now. There are a few Chinese brands that offer a Central Tourbillon. Most of those, I believe, are sourced through Peacock. Peacock also supply some pretty amazing brands. Another brand that uses their movements is Ulterior Wen. They are pretty expensive as well, but they're using one of their automatic movements, which is essentially a clone of a automatic ETA movement. This is a Central Tourbillon. This is their movement, and it's basically their design. When you flip it on its side, you're going to see that this is half case and half sapphire crystal. The bottom portion of this case is very nicely finished in stainless steel, and then you have a beautiful boxed sapphire crystal that isn't really domed. It's almost like a cup, so it's almost a right angle at that edge right there. There are, I guess for lack of a better term, sort of striations like a record that are on the side of the dial. So that is a raised dial. So that portion is raised up. There's a chapter ring that goes down, and then there's a ring of what looks like forged carbon. And then you have an oculus, which is over that Central Tourbillon. I use the word oculus because I think that kind of describes what this is. It's a little disc of sapphire that is sitting on top of that tourbillon. It also is surrounded by the minutes hand. So you can see this is the minutes hand right here, that U-shaped item that is on that little center portion. There's a loomed portion of it, and that's really where you're telling the time. So this is like 11:05, somewhere around there. And then there is the hour hand. You can see that little dot, that little triangle right there is the hour hand. So this is not extremely legible, but this is something that is not your everyday watch. It's not something that you would wear every day because it is pretty complicated. It's pretty complicated looking, and it's actually pretty wearable. So this is 45 millimeters. It's 45 millimeters all around because this is like a hockey puck. However, there is extra material on the strap because it does not fold all the way down. So if you really want to take that measurement, it measures in at around, it says 51 millimeters, somewhere in that neighborhood. I would say it wears like a 44 millimeter watch. That's how I would say it would wear. It comes in at around 45 and change, but that's what it wears like. And it's not that thick. It's around 12 and a half or 12.6 millimeters thick. And you have a very large crown. That crown has a piece of, I don't know what this is on here. I don't think it's ceramic, but it might be ceramic, and it is signed. It's stainless steel and this material. There's no information on what that material actually is. I think it's ceramic, but I'm not 100% sure, so I'm not going to say that it is, but it's a large crown at 7.4 millimeters. This gets 120 hours of power reserve, and you get to see the movement from the back, so it's actually nicely decorated. It's basically one solid bridge in the back. It's skeletonized where the tourbillon portion is, and it's a little bit curved. So the case back is a little bit curved. The case is a little bit curved, so it fits like a pebble on the wrist. It really is very, very ergonomic, and it feels nice. This This is just a really nicely finished watch in general, and I am very impressed. For the price, it should be nicely finished because the price on this is on the more expensive side from something that you would expect from a Chinese brand. I do want to also mention this is in 904L stainless steel, so you could see everything that they put into this watch, they wanted to put in the best. And they wanted to make something that was very high quality. Take a look at the buckle. Even the buckle is really nice. This is not something that I've seen from other brands. There is a crease that goes right down the middle. It has really nice edges. Everything feels very nice, and it's signed Peacock right there. Double push button. Everything, of course, is milled. It's a really solid, very nicely made buckle, very nice strap. It's a little bit concaved in the center over here so that it sits on your wrist really nicely. Everything very well thought out. All the details are there. They put on a lot of work to make this something special. And it is something special because you are getting a central tourbillon. Like I was saying before, if this was Swiss, this would cost $100,000. There's a brand out there that literally makes a watch that looks similar to this. This is not an homage to that watch. This is actually its own thing. They did something completely different, and I think they did a good job. This is not an homage to that watch. This is their own design. I've never seen anything like it, and this would, if it, like I said, if it was Swiss, it would cost $100,000. The Swiss would charge $100,000 for this watch, without a doubt. And you're also getting 50 meters of water resistance, which, considering that this is really sort of a dress watch, I guess you could call it a dress watch, but it's a tourbillon, getting 50 meters of water resistance is great. You really don't have to worry about it. It can get a little bit wet, and it's not going to destroy the watch. From one extreme to the other, this is probably one of the cheapest Chinese watches that I feature on my channel. This is a Suggest. This is also a pretty complicated watch when you think about it. It's a jump hour, it has a small seconds, and it has an aventurine dial. I mean, obviously aventurine, not a complication, but if it were 10 years ago, this would be a very expensive watch. Because it's made in China, it's not a lot of money. These cost like 150 bucks, which is pretty damn incredible. And there it is on my 7.5-inch wrist. This looks excellent on my wrist. It fits very comfortably. That 45 millimeter diameter does not bother me at all. Like I said, it wears like a 44 millimeter watch. Plus, it's on the thinner side. You can see that. It's actually thin, considering everything that they're putting into this watch. That really boxed sapphire crystal, all of it, that comes in at around 12.5 millimeters thick. That is very impressive. All in all, I am very impressed with this watch. I wore the Suggest to give you an idea of, how affordable a Chinese watch could be. But if they do a lot and they put a lot of thought and effort and use really good materials, obviously this is more expensive. It's $3,579 on their website right now. It seems like a lot of money for a Chinese made watch, but this is pretty incredible. This is a very, very cool watch. You can see here, when you pull out the crown, that's how the time is told. So yes, it's not the most legible watch, and it's kind of weird that it has this other portion. I guess they put that as, to add some symmetry, but it's this side, the side that is loomed and not skeletonized, that tells you the minutes. And then again, that hour right up there, that's the hour. So the point of this watch is, well, it's foretelling the time, but it's also a statement piece. So usually when watches get this sort of lofty and weird and cool, it's a little bit harder to tell the time because they tell the time in a different manner. And usually it's a little bit harder. But this is not that difficult. It might take a little bit longer than it would for a normal watch. Well, there you go. Lume is actually interesting on the watch. It's not terrible. You have this line that goes around the entire dial. That's the minute track. And then you, of course, have that little minutes hand, or whatever you want to call it, which is a weird shape. That's filled with lume. And then you have the hour right there, and that is also filled with lume. That's just a little arrow that is filled with lume. All in all, a very interesting watch with a really complicated movement and a very complicated dial, a very complicated case made out of 904L stainless steel. It's a tourbillon, and it gets a movement that has 120 hours of power reserve. So you're talking about a high-end watch at a price that is not technically high-end when you're considering what you're getting here. This is a watch that would cost $100,000 if it was Swiss made, but it's not. so it cost around $3,500 because it's Chinese made. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys. What do you think of this watch? What do you think of Chinese watchmaking? What do you think of Peacock? I featured a few watches with Peacock movements in them here on my channel, and I find them to be of a very high quality so far. And I think this is no exception. This is a really cool watch. The lume, maybe not all that great, but the watch itself is pretty incredible. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys. What do you think of this watch? What do you think of Chinese watchmaking? What do you think of Peacock? Please also don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. Super helpful for the channel, and I very much appreciate it. I'll put a link to this watch down in the description below. If you're interested, definitely check them out. And of course, if you decide to buy one, tell them Watch Chris sent you. Anyway, guys, thank you for logging on. I'll catch you guys in the next video.